Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patten, and welcome to a very hot day here in June, as we now say, month of June's half gone, and now we're heading toward the big festive 4th of July time, and also Christmas in July, too, if you're watching Hallmark Channel on TV, as they do their July 1st to the 10th, 10 days of non-stop Christmas movies. So there you go. So, Merry Christmas in July. And graduations are just about over with, and summertime is knocking on our door, and here we go again. But with me is my great friend there, buddy, Paul Brogan, who is, I have to refer to him as my super director, because since he's got this show, along with Faith Speaks, on YouTube,
yes,
you realize that our shows have drawn the most viewers of anybody.
Really?
One of the shows we did had 174 viewers. Then another one had 160 some odd viewers. And so, I mean, you rank right up. You're the leader, because one of the lower ones have been the politicians, which I can understand. People really have had enough of politics.
Right.
But, that'll change something. But, since he has done this, I'm telling you, it's been amazing what he's done, because to see how the counts have gone up there on some.
I agree, Dick. He's Ian. Applause to him, definitely, for he brings an energy and a vitality and a polish and a professionalism.
I mean,
and you've been doing the show now for 16 years or
18
so?
years.
18 years.
Going on 19.
And this has really given it a whole different perspective, and I think a whole different audience too, or increase the audience. People that might not have turned on CCTV and discovered it, and they can now go on, Facebook, and they can go on YouTube.
I want to make sure that my past directors are not insulted by what I've said.
No.
Because they were very hard workers. They did a great job when they were doing it. But Ian has just taken it in a new direction. I'm not with it with technology stuff. And this guy is a crackerjack, and let's face it, I mean, he has really, and so I've been watching it on YouTube, the different ones, to see where we're at, and I noticed it the other night. I said, boy, the Paul Brogan series is really shot up there, And I had one show with Pablo. He's a minister from this Next Level Church, and he's up to like 50 viewers on him. But, it's just sampling of all the ones we've done.
Well, it also just reinforces what you and I have said for years. There is a market out there for people listening to conversation, interesting conversation. And it's as though we're allowing the viewers a peek into us sitting in a living room, just having a discussion, an intelligent discussion. We're not, doing it via email or gadgets or other things. It's just two people talking.
That's right.
Something that's becoming less and less the norm.
Oh, I know.
I was walking down Main Street the other day. A woman walked right off the curb. She was so busy looking on something. And in Market Basket, you've got to be aware, because they're coming around. They're not watching with their carriages.
No.
They're too busy talking on the phone or doing something else. So it's you and I are just two people who have a similar background and interest and grew up at a similar time, who have an endless number of things to talk about.
And I also, too, before I forget it, and I'm not going to talk a lot on it, but I just do want to extend our sympathies from around town, and Faith Speaks, to those unfortunate families in Orlando who lost so many of their loved ones down there, and I still can't believe what happened, and it's amazing. And then to top it off, I shouldn't say top it off, but to add more misery, that little boy who got killed by that alligator.
Yes.
That really makes me sick to think that little 2-year-old kid. I mean, it was bad enough to see the boy fall into the gorilla pit that day, and thank God they got him out. But to have this little boy fall into this alligator. You know, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
It's frightening. I mean, the news from every place just seems to be more and more, depressing and
yeah.
sad and heartbreaking, and it's just really
I mean,
devastating.
I know this is Gay Pride Month, and there are celebrations all over the country and all the world. But for someone who I guess had pre-planned this to walk in there and
Mm-hmm.
just boom everywhere,
Yes.
it's like, my
Mm-hmm.
gosh.
Yes.
You know, regardless what your orientation may be, it's like myself going to Ann Arbor in September.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really here's a stadium with 115,000 people in it. Well, there's a good place right there that anybody wanted to play whatever. You never know.
No, you don't anymore.
And the planes or the trains or whatever, but you know, these big celebrations like the conventions coming up, I mean,
Well, I know we've
it's
talked
scary.
about when we grew up here in Concord, it was the safest place you'd ever want to be.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could leave your house unlocked
No.
while you went to the store or something, and
Yeah.
windows open and everything else, and you felt perfectly safe.
Yeah.
Neighbors looked out for neighbors. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
totally, and so we were able to focus on completely on other things because we weren't living in fear of anything
Yeah.
happening, and it's just it would be awful to be growing up during a time
Oh.
when there is all of this going on, because to me it would intrude on your ability to focus on your studies or just the joy of being a child, just the
I mean,
fun.
I can't. It makes me wonder what these babies today, or even any age group up to say 15, 16, what are they going to be facing in other years? Really, it scares me. And of course, that brings me up to the next thing: was the
Yes.
graduation in Concord High
Yes.
as tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, no, Saturday,
So,
and the Crimson Tide going down Memorial Field, and you know it's funny because former Mayor J. Herbie Quinn,
yes.
his son Michael, who
Yes.
was in my class, I picked him up at the airport the other day. He asked me if I could help him with a ride, and I said, "Of course, I'll go get you." Now here's a man that I never met in school, because obviously, as we always said, Concord was very much, I won't say society minded, but he was up there
Right.
and I was down
There were
here.
cliques,
Yes.
and-
And he admits that. He admits it. He said Concord was very cliquey back those days, and maybe now, I don't know, but you know, he was, because the mayor's son, of course, he was right up there, and so he hasn't changed a bit. Except he's got long blonde hair now, but the facial thing, it looks just like him. And his dad's coming up here this summer, and he wants to know if I can get him on here. I said, I'd love to have him come on.
Wouldn't that be great?
So sometime this summer, former Mayor J. Herbert Quinn will be on here, and we'll
Fascinating.
He's
man.
in his late
Colorful.
80s now.
Is he really?
Yeah, 87. I think John Michael said.
He wrote a book, 5 or 6
Oh,
years
really?
ago, I
I
think.
didn't know that.
Oh, all about Concord and about when he was mayor, about his
Yes.
life in general.
Oh.
And yeah, yes.
But I'm glad you brought this in, because the scroll made me think 1964. And of course, I don't know if they don't probably do this so much now, but we always had in June, before school closed, move-up day. The sixth graders would go down to Runlet for one day, and they'd tour the school, and they would see all the different things. We would entertain by the Runlet White Band. They had two bands, the white and the blue, and the majorettes would come out and all that jazz. And then we would have lunch in the cafeteria, and we all went down the school bus course with our sixth grade
Yes.
teachers,
Uh-huh.
and that was it. But that was a big thing until September, when we went back for real. But I can remember walking around that school and like, here we
Well,
are.
it was overwhelming. All the
for
different
us.
wings.
Yeah.
You know, you were suddenly going from something that was much more,
Yeah.
easy to navigate.
Oh, I
And
know.
we didn't have that because I was in Catholic school in sixth grade,
Yeah.
and my parents tried to arrange with Mr. Canestraro for me to be able to go down there and at least get a feel for it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Canestraro said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's not our fault that he's going to Catholic school. So that was the end of that.
But I remember some of these teachers very well, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
and you've let me borrow some of these. And
Yes.
I thoroughly have enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
reading the
Mm-hmm.
scroll. I forgot. I thought it was called the quill, but it's a
Yeah,
scroll.
I did too until I actually saw
Yeah.
it in front of me. Maybe that was there a newspaper in
It could-
Rutland?
maybe
That
it
might
could
have
have
been
been, 'cause
called
there was the quill. There was one
And
called the quill.
There's probably in here, probably says Quill Staff, if indeed it was. I should have brought the one from Bishop Brady to
Yeah,
show
well,
you.
we
Just it's a totally different than Concord High because the nuns had quite a bit of control over it, and we couldn't.
Because the Concord High yearbook, I was looking at some of the teachers. Most of mine are gone, but
Mm-hmm.
this one here, the driver ed program, Mr. Sarika is
Yes.
still alive.
Yes, he lives down in Connecticut.
Mr. Hurd, I believe, he's young. He should be still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Hackett and now Mr. Houston was still alive, as far as I know.
Yes, there's to answer your question. Quill Staff.
Oh.
So that was the
That was
newspaper.
yeah, okay,
so,
the Quill.
so you
yeah.
weren't imagining it,
Yeah.
and
Now, Rachel Higgins was the nurse, and she's still living. She
Mhm.
and her husband Clayton, who was from a fire chief.
yes, oh yes,
They live right over here on Pembroke Road.
Mhm.
Frances McCarthy, she was work study, but she was also, I think, history or something back when I was there.
Mhm.
She is still alive. She's living over at Heritage Heights, but she remarried.
Mhm.
And I think her last name is Hill, I think, or something.
Hmm.
But she's still there. She's still alive. Now, Galuso, I don't know if he's still living or
I
not.
think he passed.
Did he?
I went to the music school. He used out of the West Street Ward House in the
Yeah.
summertime.
Yeah.
He threw me out because I was trying to play the oboe, which
Yeah.
has a reed on it,
Yeah.
and I had braces at the time, and the reeds would catch in the braces, and he was having to replace the reed twice during every class, and it was getting expensive. So he said, stick to the piano, keep things out of your mouth.
See, Ian wants to play the oboe now. He's all
Ah,
interested.
I don't know what it's like. I used to play the saxophone.
Ah.
So same reading
Oh, you were a saxophone player.
long ago.
Yeah, well, I was an accordion player, but they didn't like accordions in the Rutland band, so I didn't get to
Which
play.
is odd. I mean, an accordion
Even
is
the
such a
orchestra.
versatile. Well, look at Lawrence Welk didn't do badly with
I know,
accordions for 50
in
years.
Oh, Myron Florin either.
Yes,
But even in the orchestra, they didn't
Mhm.
want the accordion.
because it has such a full sound.
I was in the Dame School Band, but that
Mhm.
I guess I wasn't good enough. But
Wow. Huh.
anyway, we had Mr. Brown, who was the assistant principal, J. Preston Barry. Of course, I'm sure they're all gone. I don't know.
Mhm. Mm,
Leland Churchill just passed away within a few months ago.
really?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
he was
Mhm.
there. Richard Walsh was one of the guidance. William Ledoux, because his wife
Mhm.
was a school teacher down there too. I think she was either English or math. I don't know which
Uh-huh.
one.
Mm.
And then Winifred Stein was guidance.
Mhm.
But these are some of the ones. Yes, there she is right there. Mathematics, Genevieve Ledoux. And then Oscar Sarad, he's still living. He's over
Oh.
here on
Mhm.
Chase Street. I think it's Chase Street.
Mhm.
What's his name there? George Lewis, he's still alive. In
Mm.
fact, you could see him over at the polls in Ward 8 on election day.
Really?
He works over there.
Hmm.
I think it's George. Yeah, George. No, yeah, it is George Lewis. And then, of course, Owen Kopang, him and his wife used to own the Viking House on Main Street.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, her name is Kathy, his wife Kathy Kopang. And some of these other ones, I mean, Michael Garrett, I think he passed away, if I remember right. Bob Silva is still alive. He and his wife live on Dover Street here in the Heights.
Mhm.
And Jerome Spears, I had him for contemporary problems in 10th grade, and I think he's young, so he's got to be still alive, but I don't
Mhm.
know where the heck he would be.
No.
He loved his motorcycle, so I
Mhm.
want to say maybe he's in Connecticut, but I don't know.
Hmm.
Of course, Grace Taylor, her son was in my class too. She was social studies, and of course, Don Mullen, he was social studies, but his mother was my 5th grade teacher at Dame School,
Oh.
Catherine Mullen. She
Mhm.
was very, and of course, she lost his son in World War II, and she was very patriotic boy. Oh yes, and of course, some of these other ones you probably wouldn't really know.
A lot of the names I recognize just because.
Hannah Lacey.
Yes.
Of course, now she's Hannah West. She
Mhm.
married John West, who was an English teacher at Rutland.
Mm-hmm.
So she's still alive. She's over in Chichester with her daughters there. Of course, John died a few years ago. And it's interesting to see these names
Mhm,
because
mhm.
Frank Monahan, because he died suddenly.
Yes,
He was
yes.
young, and he died.
Mhm.
He was good
Yeah, he was only 59 or 60 when he
Yeah.
died.
All
They
he-
still have a foundation
because he
named
was a
after him.
smoker, though.
Yes.
And because he
Yes.
taught basketball.
Yes, he had been at Brady right before
Yes,
that, and then
yep.
he went over because I think Harvey Smith, who was also at Brady, went eventually to Concord High.
But all you had to do was get him talking about sports.
Yes.
And oh, brother.
Oh, yes, there
He
was
forgot
no-
all about it because we
Yep.
had him for accounting, and you go,
Yeah.
forget that. He was on sports. Then there was James William Hines.
Mhm.
Now he was a science teacher,
Mhm.
but he was my driver ed. I had two driver ed
Oh.
teachers.
Uh-huh.
For classroom was Mr. Hackett, and James was my driver one.
Mhm.
And oh boy, I'll never forget the day that we were coming down Bridge Street, and we went to turn. He had me turn onto 93 South.
Mhm.
I thought I took it slow.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, bam!
Really?
Pull too fast, Mr. Patten.
Wow.
That scared the living daylights out of me.
Well, I had Mr. Sirica, and I think that's because I was at Brady, and he did the summer classes of driver ed.
Oh, really?
Because Brady didn't have driver ed.
Yeah.
And so I went there. A group of us from Brady took from Mr. Sirica during the summertime, and he said nobody had ever parallel parked as well as I. And I
Really?
think of it every time I parallel park. I've stayed in touch. I worked with his wife at Blue Cross, Dottie.
Really?
And so would see him regularly. And I made a friend forever because for his 40th birthday, I got him a personally autographed picture of Doris Day.
Oh,
and
my
he was
goodness.
from Ohio, the
Oh,
same
really?
state she was.
Oh.
And so he
Buckeyes.
was just thrilled with that. So, but he's down in Connecticut. He remarried after she passed away.
He is in Connecticut.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. He lives with one of his sons. He had two sons.
Huh. So he must be quite up there then.
He was born in 1937, so
Well,
he'll
he's up in
be
his
80
80s then.
next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, isn't it funny how in school they all looked older than we thought they would? To us,
And in
anyway.
pictures, even where it's as though the photographer told them, look old and solemn.
I know, yes.
Well, that's why when a couple of years ago, Mrs. Edmonds died, who had been at Runland.
Yeah, Olive, yes.
Olive. And I thought 45 years ago that she was in her 60s then.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. She
No.
was only in her late 40s or early 50s.
Well, she's
but
a-
she just seemed very stern.
She was
and
100
serious.
years old, I think,
Yeah,
when she died.
yeah, she had a good long
because
life.
she was a Grange member over there in Chichester.
Mhm.
And because we were trying to figure out the different classrooms up on the second
Yes,
floor where we
yes.
were at.
Right.
And it's just interesting. As I drive by Runland now, because they've added on
Yes, it's very hard to see
a couple
the
more
way
wings.
that it
Yeah,
was
I know. And
anymore. How
But-
many students do they have now? They had 1,200 when I was
I
there.
don't know. They must have close that, I would think.
Because it was about 300 in
Yeah.
each grade, and they had the
Yeah.
7, 8, 9. No, it was
Yeah,
more
it was
than
7,
that. It was-
8, 9.
It was more like 350 to 400 in each one, since they came from all of the schools.
And then they changed and,
Yes.
and then took the
Became
ninth grade
middle
up
school.
there. Yep, and brought the sixth graders up with the seventh and eighth. They talked about putting fifth graders up there and said, that's stupid.
Yeah,
That's too
yeah.
young.
Yeah, it's-
But I'll tell you, boy, if you ever want to find out more about what's happening around Concord, the greater Concord area, watch watch our shows. Go on Facebook.com.
Yes.
/Concord Speaks, and you'll see us on
Really?
like we are today.
Yes, I mean, you may find out something, and you may even suddenly, somebody in our age range may say, "Oh my God, I forgot all about Olive Edmonds," or somebody
I
else.
know.
And
Well, my favorite teacher in the seventh grade was eighth grade was Gertrude Andrews,
wonderful person.
She taught
Yes,
U.S.
yes,
history.
Yes.
and I liked her. She was very, very nice.
mhm.
But her husband taught science.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't think I had him. I had Tom Thurston in seventh grade,
Uh huh.
and then Mr.
Russell
McLaughlin
McLaughlin.
in the eighth grade. Yes.
With the sled dogs.
Yes. Yeah. And I could always remember some choice words about Mrs. Bautel because I guess the student didn't quite rank her too high. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But her husband, I had in metal shop. Herbert, he was a nice guy, very nice going. And of course, Leonard Smith
Yes.
was the
Christmas tree man.
Yes, the wooden. He taught wood shop, and of
Mhm.
course, Miss Scott was
Mhm.
the art teacher.
Grace.
Oh my God, yeah.
I go by her house, well, where she lived, the house she designed in Bow, on Route 3A by the river. It's heading toward Manchester, right after Grapponi. It's on the right-hand side. It's set back with a lot of glass. It was rather modern in its time in the late 50s, but she designed the house and had it built, and that's where she lived until she passed away.
Just past Grapponi.
Grapponi, on the same side, probably several hundred feet after that. But it's set back on the roadway, and it's up sort of, and it has a lot of glass in the front. And that was the house she designed, and that's where she lived.
I never knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Mr. Black was the
Music.
music teacher. Now he must be still alive, but
I would think so.
and I had Mr. Carrying Gifts.
Oh, yes. Mark?
Yes,
Yes.
He was my teacher in 8th grade for music,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a nice guy. I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because that day we went down there for move-up day because we had lunch. I don't know the heck they served, but it was just different going through the cafeteria line and finding there's 2 different selections or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we must have looked like a bunch of young chickens going through with the old hens or the old roosters there or whatever, you know. It's like these young kids coming through, you know. But
And the food wasn't bad. I mean, it was for the amount of meals that they served. They did a very good job of making it reasonably fresh. And it was.
But Mike Quinn, I was surprised because Michael
Wow.
said that he had some problems in the 8th, 9th grades, and he finally quit school in the 10th grade.
Did he really?
And he got his GED. But I said, I never saw him after 7th grade. I didn't know he was still there with us. You know, because he had the Beatle haircut,
Yes,
blonde
yes,
hair,
right.
and he was, every girl was just dying to be his date. But and he laughed about that too the other day when we were in the car. We talked a lot about things, and he was supposed to get together for lunch or something. He's up to Loudon right now, but he said he would be giving me a call. And but it's just interesting to see or hear about what some of these people happened to them. You know. No, I had Mrs. Giles for English in 7th grade. Did you have her?
No. In 7th grade, I thought I had in 7th grade Mr. DeLacy for English.
Yeah, Lionel.
Yes. And I think Olive Edmonds in 8th grade.
Yeah, she was over there.
And then I was gone to Brady for 9th grade.
And Leah Gray, Miss Gray, she taught. What did she teach? English or?
I'm not sure if that was a second language for her or not. I'm sorry.
But she
just had she intimidated me. She just didn't seem very warm or gracious or
she's still
or
living.
something. Is she really?
Oh yes.
Wow.
Yes, she is. She's still living. Quite active too.
I'm sure Mrs. Sargent's still living.
Now see, I forgot about her.
Yeah, I think it was her. She didn't start there until the early 60s, so she's probably around the age of Mr. Sirica, late 70s now, because she was very young.
Mr. Gaskell is still alive. They said he's living out in Hopkinton or somewhere out there, and I haven't seen him since I left there. But it's just amazing how when we reminisce about these things, and and how at that time the majorettes were a big thing in the band. And then in ninth grade, I can remember the principal Barry coming down from Concord High with the Concord High band and their majorettes. Of course, they had their white and red on and crimson on there. But now you don't see majorettes anymore.
You don't.
The colleges still have them on. In fact, the Michigan band usually has 3 or 4 of them, with a male doing the drum major there. But you don't ever see them. All their pom poms and all that stuff now.
It's too bad.
But, it was a big thing.
It was a big thing. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Even the guys were doing it, but no, we were always anxious for the end of the year to start turning the books back in, and when
Yeah.
summertime was here.
It was. And it seemed to last forever back then. It's not like today where it just,
And then,
here we are, more than
Yeah.
halfway through June, and before we know it, we'll be sitting here talking about Labor Day and everything else.
yes,
but,
I know, it's true.
But at least the 4th of July fireworks will be
They're-
still
that's
at
right.
Memorial Field.
They're at Memorial Field.
Yes.
I talked to David Gill the other day.
Mhm.
Still the same program as usual.
Mhm.
Never's
Good.
Band will be
Mhm.
there, and they'll have some vendors.
Mhm.
And
Who conducts Never's Band now?
I wish I hadn't asked. I don't know his name.
Oh.
He's new. He was
Mhm.
there last year,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been there for maybe 2-3 years, I guess. He
Mhm.
doesn't seem to do it. That band has gotten big.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden now they're
People are interested.
a
in
lot of
being
young
a part.
people.
Oh, good.
But
good.
I understand that Priscilla Giles, lover to pieces,
Mhm.
has decided to hang up her snare drum for
Mhm.
I guess for retire because
Mhm.
she's and it's she might make an appearance at the 4th of July. I don't know,
Mhm.
but she basically has felt it's time to hang it up.
Now you have something coming up here on the Heights, right?
In July, in late July, Never's Band will be up
Mhm.
here at Keach Park.
Yes.
And we're talking about having a meet, eat, and greet night for the Grange with it.
Nice.
So I
Nice.
don't know. Like I said, so far we're hoping to, but so much has happened the last few weeks in my family that it's just been crazy.
It's hard to spread yourself too thin.
So I don't know. We've been busy doing this. My secretary took over doing the planting of the flowers at the Triangle, thanks to Cole Gardens
Hmm.
and their donation. And Charlie was very
I
good.
saw him on your show recently.
Yes, he was very
That was a
good.
very good show. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he did a nice job. They have been donating flowers
Mhm.
this year. Because we do not only Keach Park that with the flagpole, we also, of course, do the Triangle down there with a big
Mhm.
tree.
Mhm.
And of course, we're already getting phone calls about the parade and the tree lighting. When's the date going to be, and
Mhm.
what's going to happen? Well, it's too early. I haven't figured that out
Yeah.
yet.
Ha,
And
ha.
we will eventually. In fact, I've started a fundraise,
Mhm.
but of course, it's so early. But
Mhm.
still, if you don't get your letters out there,
Well, hopefully Lincoln will come through this year because they don't have the 250 thing.
well, I was
to
told
use as an excuse.
that we don't fit their categories.
Oh, okay. A community event
Yeah.
where thousands
Yeah.
and thousands
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
come together
Yeah.
downtown,
Yeah.
and that doesn't
We
fit
don't
there. Hmm.
Well, it's like the law firm who said it was frivolous
Yes.
last year.
The firm right there
yeah,
next
right,
to it.
right
yeah.
on Main Street. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Concord Imaging has been our major contributor
Mhm.
in the last 3 years, and I'm praying and hoping that
They'll
will
come
this
through
year.
again. Good.
Larry Glass has been wonderful there, and I'm going to talk to him again.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Dennis Gaudette and Aldersburg of Tilton are back on. Raleigh Agency's back with us again.
Great.
But Concord Imaging has been the one that really, and of course also Fox Fire Management with Steve
Dupree.
Dupre
Mhm.
came through big time
Mhm.
last year. So
Oh,
we're
great.
hoping,
Good.
we don't know, but we're
Mhm.
hoping.
Well, it does wonders for the downtown, and just brings an energy. You perfectly combine the old-fashioned nostalgia kind of Christmas with today also,
Yeah.
and so it really, it is a wonderful event. I mean, it's truly a classic way to launch the season.
Yep, it is. We try hard, but I'll
Mhm.
tell you, Bowen, you get people saying how it's frivolous. And that was from the law firm. It really
Mhm.
bothered me
Yes.
because, it was the former superintendent of the school there. It was her husband's law firm, and it
Mhm.
really surprised me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But what are you going to do?
Mhm.
So hopefully they'll change their mind. But no, Lincoln, I've tried to. They got new forms to make out, and I've already been told that we don't fit their.
Profile or whatever it
Profile,
is.
whatever.
Well,
It's not like they give $1,000 or more. They
Yes.
only get five. We were lucky to
Exactly.
get 500.
yeah.
So, well, that's my jingle that says what time is up. But I can't help it. But gee, time goes so fast.
Way too fast.
But you're always such a great guest, and I'm telling you, Paul. I
Only as
just
good
love-
as the host.
Oh, only as good as my director. He keeps me in line.
Yes, another round of
He
applause.
said, "Keep your shoes quiet. You're always drinking
Yes,
your feet."
exactly.
So, there he goes. So.
You did very well today.
I know I did. but
Yes.
He's got the rug down, so
Yeah.
I don't jingle.
Okay.
But him smile. That's something. That big smile on his face. He's a super class 5. I'll tell you, top boy. Well, anyway, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And again, thank you to all our fans out there. And again, if you want to know what's happening around town with Greater Concord area, go to facebook.com/Concord Speaks, and you'll see all the shows around town, and also Faith Speaks, as Ian Marx, my super director, is working on the Facebook page, and it's really great. So tune in and listen to the shows again, and again, of course, Concord TV, channel 22. I don't know the time that it's on, but as far as I know, it's still there. So with that in mind, again, congratulations to the Concord High School graduating class, and I forgot Parker Academy. They had their small graduation, but I think that covers all the Concord area schools I've named off. But so with that in mind, have a great day, great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon on Around Town.